I used to believe that safety was something you could build. Locks, routines, familiar faces. I believed that if I did everything right, nothing could cross the line. I was wrong. It started after my husband died. Not immediately. Not when the casseroles arrived. Not when the condolences filled the house. It started months later, when people assumed I had become fragile. They didn't say it out loud. They didn't have to. It was in the way conversations slowed when I entered the room. In the way decisions were made for my benefit. In the way my independence began to feel like something temporary. The first change was small. My calendar. I keep it on the fridge, held up by a faded magnet from a beach we used to visit. I write everything in blue ink, always blue. One morning, a date was circled in black. I stared at it longer than I should have. The handwriting wasn't mine. The circle was neat, careful, intentional. I told myself it meant nothing. That was my mistake. A week later, my car wouldn't start. The battery wasn't dead. The lights came on. The radio worked, but the engine refused. When the mechanic checked it, he frowned. "Someone loosened this," he said, pointing. "Not enough to break it, just enough to stop it from working." I laughed nervously. "Probably corrosion," I said. He didn't smile. People began checking in more often. Neighbors, family friends, distant relatives who hadn't called in years. "Just making sure you're okay. Let us know if you need anything. You shouldn't be alone too much." They said it kindly. That made it worse. One evening, I came home and smelled something familiar. Lavender. The same cleaner I used years ago, before my hands began to ache. I hadn't bought it in a long time. The house was spotless, too spotless. Not lived-in clean, showroom clean. I stood in the doorway and felt the strange certainty that someone had been there and wanted me to notice. That night, I slept with the bedroom door locked. I woke up just before dawn. The lock was still in place, but the chair in the corner of the room had been moved, turned slightly, as if someone had sat there, watching. I didn't tell anyone. I started paying attention instead. Patterns emerged. Whenever something went wrong, the car, my phone, a missed appointment, someone appeared soon after with a solution. A ride, a reminder, an offer to take over. They knew things before I told them. Details I hadn't shared. Concerns I hadn't voiced. The turning point came with the documents. A thick envelope left neatly on my dining table. Inside were copies of my medical records, bank statements, property paperwork. Highlighted, annotated. Someone had organized my life on paper, without asking. At the top was a note. "We're just planning ahead." That's when the fear settled in. Not panic, not hysteria. Fear with structure. Fear with intent. I realized something then. No one was trying to hurt me. They were trying to remove me. Quietly, legally, gently. I went to the courthouse the next day, pulled my records, checked signatures. Everything was still mine. For now. But attempts had been made. Subtle ones. Unsuccessful ones. Someone was testing boundaries. That evening, I invited them all over. Every person who had helped. The concerned neighbor, the family friend, the cousin who insisted I stop driving. They filled my living room with polite smiles and careful voices. I served tea. I let them talk. Then I placed a single folder on the table. Original deeds, updated wills, recorded conversations, and one letter from my attorney. The room went silent. Not awkward silence, exposed silence. I watched realization pass through their faces one by one. They had mistaken quiet for weakness. They had mistaken grief for confusion. They had mistaken patience for permission. "I appreciate your concern," I said calmly, "but my life is not a group project." No one argued. They didn't need to. They understood. After that, the help stopped. The visits ended. The calls slowed. My calendar remained untouched. My house stayed exactly the way I left it. People think control looks aggressive. It doesn't. It looks polite. It looks helpful. It waits for you to stop watching. I still lock my doors. But now I know something more important. Silence can be a weapon. But awareness? Awareness is protection.